And we are going. Hello, Penumbuddies!
Hi, Penumbuddies! We have a very special episode today. We're talking about Juno Steel and the Midnight Fox. We're still working through our Season 3 backlog, but we have a special guest today, captain-aurinko on Tumblr, Sarah. She's here. Say hello, please.
Why, hello.
Yay!
Very excited to have another person to bounce off all our ridiculousness.
I am so excited to be here with you guys because I've followed the show for a while, and yes, it is. I think I started, I watched from your first episode. I saw it on Tumblr and I listened to it in, I think, my IT class at school. And so I was just sitting there, while I was taking apart a computer, just, just fully unable to give up on Man in Glass because I had also just listened to that and was still, reeling from the hype of having heard Peter again after so long.
So goddamn long. Yeah, safe to say that Sarah is our biggest fan.
We love Sarah. But
not that
God,
what
do you guys
thing that should have fans? I don't know.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But what do you guys want to talk about this episode?
Oh, okay. I got my sticky note of outlines. I want to talk about the Rita Juno relationship because it's great here. Where Khan fits in the narrative of the show.
Ooh.
Um,
I want to talk about Valis Vicky's parallels to other relationships in the show.
Yes,
I got you there. I have a list.
Yes.
I've already filled that out.
And I want to talk about Juno's past.
Yes.
I also have a list of that and suspicious comments that were made.
Yeah.
Suspicious as hell. Okay, what do y'all want to talk about?
I mean, for what I have on my list, one of the things I want to talk about is how in the way that this episode is structured shows a side of Juno that's seen here and never really seen again. And also okay, so do you mind if I jump into
go
this?
Ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so let me just jump to that part of the text. Okay, so
the text.
Yeah, I'm so dramatic, but so Juno's so different in this episode from how we've seen him previously, and I think that what makes it so interesting is the fact that Juno is very in control in this episode in a way that he's never before, because I mean normally he's either taking orders from somebody or he is working with somebody who is taking the lead, and up until this point, this is also, I'm gonna say, arguably the best time he has in the show. He's clearly getting kidnapped, locked in a closet, fist fighting people or whatever. He's having a blast. The stakes are low, but high enough that he's doing some good. At the same time, he's with somebody that he knows very well and trusts. He's the person who's making all the plans. And we say trust. I saw that little, maybe hand motion that you did.
Yeah.
But
I want to talk about Valis Vicky and...
Yes, we'll need to talk about that. But the thing is, he's constantly just, he's the person who constantly knows what to do. He pointed with that stream of reporters. He told them, he came up with that idea. He knows how to do things. He fought Khan. He was the person who knows how to socialize enough. Specifically that one moment that really was, you don't see the side of Juno that knows how to socialize up until Nova Zolotovna, because normally his plan is to try and get people to punch his head off. That's his whole plan. And the idea of him
just being... does it for some people, man.
Yeah, it works, but in this one, you're right. He is working with this waiter and sweet talking them. It's not about trying to get them angry at him.
You remember specifically that moment where he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of this guy?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, neither did I," which made it really hard for me to stroke his ego. But I got it all right. And here's the plan and what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be able to have those interactions with people to be successful at his job. And I think this is like a really shining moment in terms of like Juno being good at his job. And the other thing I want to note is that in the episode before this, in Day That Wouldn't Die, Mick says to Juno, well, if you cause this many deaths, you should go to the HCPD.
Yeah.
He
First thing
did.
he does.
God fucking damn, he listened.
Day.
I also think it's interesting
Good
that, like,
for him.
I think it's interesting that Juno's worst moment in the whole series, and I say that was his worst moment and not the final resting place, is like immediately followed by him having, like, again, his best point in the series, because every other time I think he's been having a bad experience. Like, the arguably other best time he has is Man in Glass, and even then he has to deal with a lot of baggage.
Yeah, like, yeah, I haven't really thought about how happy Juno's been, but in terms of, like, I think that he had a bit of freedom with the first murderous mass case, but he was being manipulated. I really liked how you said that Juno is in control this episode, because it's, or I don't know, I guess someone still is pulling the strings, but you do get this sense that he's aware of what's going on. He picks up on stuff quickly and then he's reacting versus, I don't know, the first episode where you only find out at the very end and he's totally been played and he doesn't succeed. I don't know. I don't know if this is, I don't know if this is like compared to every other time, at least for me, like better or worse, but I think it might be different. I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah, it doesn't have the... So I think I like the comparison to Murderous Mask in that, like, they're both cases he works with someone else when he would prefer not to, like...
Well, for a while at least. I think he warms up to Glass.
He does. I mean, for a given value of warm-up. Yeah. So I think
that's... a lot of blood and said nice things. He lost a lot of blood.
He lost a lot of blood. So I think in some ways that this case is really in his wheelhouse. Like, there's nothing there. He's not trying to deal with people from his past as much. He's trying to deal with someone from someone else's past. But he doesn't seem as close with Vicky as he was with maybe Cass and Cecil.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like, I think he says later in, I think Time Gone By, that Valis Vicky would destroy you, Captain Hijikata would make you destroy yourself.
Oof.
Which brings us to, what the heck is going on with Juno's past in general?
Oof. Amen. What the hell?
Our lovely lady went on a bender and got in a lot of debt and then had to work for Valis Vicky for like 10 years.
Wow. I'm just...
God. I will say I disagree with what you said about Vicky, because he seemed to know her very well enough to predict what she was going to do for the most part. And also, like, all those little comments about, like, you know, oh, I've given up on telling you what to do. Like, this is a song and dance they've played before. Or, you know, wow, you know stuff you shouldn't. That was scarier the first 1,000 times. Or,
but I don't get the sense that he's, like, unspeakably emotionally invested in her.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah, I agree, but I do think that they show, I'm kind of on the fence, because, well, I agree with you, Luna, that he's, like, not, like, I don't know, he doesn't have the same reaction. We see him panic when Mick gets hurt, and I don't think we're seeing maybe that level of panic here. I guess we haven't, but also...
The banter doesn't drop.
Yeah, but the fight scene, weirdly, when they were stuck in that garage, felt so sibling-like to me.
It was so funny.
Yeah, it was like, I feel like these characters have known each other a long time. So it's like, maybe there's contention there enough that Juno doesn't, like, this wouldn't be like losing someone really close to him, but I think that they have a friendship going on, even if it's kind of weird.
I will also say that She gave the comment, you sure get tired a lot quicker than you used to, you getting old or something, implying that fist fighting is something that very
Look, man.
frequently happened with them.
Sometimes you gotta fist fight people.
Yeah.
I got in a lot of fights in school.
I
Good
never
for
once
you.
got into a fight in my life. I cannot imagine.
I'm a marshmallow. I have the reflexes of a dead cow. I could not.
Good Lord, Rab.
Yeah, no, you try and fight Rab, and I will say ow like 5 minutes after you punch me. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But was Juno a bad cop? What the fuck? Was he set up because they referred to him as a bad egg? What the hell?
No, see, there was one specific line that really, really confused what I thought about Juno because, of course, Juno fighting for justice, yada, yada, yada. He wasn't apparently, like, I can never imagine him being a corrupt cop.
Me
He
neither.
he couldn't ever have been, like, anything but fighting for his morals. But at the same time, there was the one specific line where Khan says, we never worked together. Maybe the stories were off. People change. And then Juno says, they do. I did, saying that he was in the wrong. Juno just admitted there that he was in the wrong and that, yeah, he got fired for a reason.
Oh shit,
And
I didn't catch that. Fuck.
also, he's changed from the person he was on the HCPD, who was this bad person. So, what could Juno have done that wouldn't have gone against his morals per se, but at the same time, Juno's morals are a big question in their own right because he does do a lot of crime, but like always wants to
It's
do it
all
to
for
help people.
reasons.
It's all
Yeah.
for the greater good.
It's for reasons.
Yeah.
So I think that if Juno, it would. I imagine Juno way back then, having recently lost his brother, it would have just really exacerbated his like fear of like I feel like I've been a lot more self-destructive, and I feel like that might
We
have
know
been
he had
what
a
got him
drug
into
problem
this.
at that time.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, the drugs. He was
Yeah.
clean after. Oh, yeah, I could absolutely believe that he would have taken a lot more risks and he would have been high. That is not a good combination.
Yeah, no, cops and
And
drugs don't mix. Well, cops and nothing mixes well with cops.
Amen.
This this is a proud All Cops Are Bastards podcast.
but let's not forget that the next time we see Khan, they mention a little bit more about the Hijikata case, and we hear, and I'm getting part of this from that Earnmark post because again, God
bless Earnmark.
God bless them. God bless. I don't know what their pronouns are, but like again, incredible. They just every single time they do meta, I'm like, oh, this will be helpful. This will help
True.
clear up a lot of things. And so they mentioned a detail that I'd never heard pointed out. Juno got fired his first day as squad captain.
Yes, I did know that.
Yes. And furthermore, he got fired because he apparently blew this giant case and he rushed into it. So rushing into it sounds very much like a Juno thing to do, but
It does.
I think it's safe to say that this is not a result of Juno being framed. I think that Juno got what was coming to him because he was the one who made this mistake.
Oof.
I think that obviously it's possible that he was being manipulated or whatever to a certain extent because he says that
Hijikata would make you
Hijikata
destroy
would make you
yourself.
destroy yourself. Yes.
I don't think he was framed, but I think he went along with things he shouldn't have.
Ooh.
I think that Hijikata like pushed him to take the case and pushed him to rush into things. I think he absolutely did because he thought that that was the only way he could do good / destroy himself. And I think that he did not do good or destroy himself as effectively as he'd hoped. Either of those things.
I don't know. I think that institutions, especially ones like police institutions, like they have a way of convincing you that whatever you're told to do is the thing you need to be doing and that is the best thing. And people can get really, I think, like going back to like PTSD and people with a lot of trauma who lose a lot of stability in their lives. Like, the stability of having someone to tell you what to do can be really strong. And the fact that Juno rebels against that so intensely later, that kind of anyone telling him what to do is like such an absolute no to him. And then he falls into it some with Ramses, but to like in a more cautious way that makes me think that at some point he was a bit of a yes man with Hijikata. But that's just out of nowhere.
The thing is, my argument against that is the 39 misdemeanors.
Yeah.
If Juno was that much of a punk as a little kid who fought against cops, fought against all authority figures, broke a teacher's nose in, what was it, 2nd grade? Again, imagine, you know the size of a 2nd grader. Imagine that child breaking a grown adult's nose.
But that's the thing, is
Juno
like...
always had rebellion in him.
Yeah,
absolutely,
but like,
absolutely.
I think...
But people change, or people go through phases.
And like, I think that a lot of the time, when a kid is acting out like that, it's coming from a place of craving emotional stability in their life. Like, as that's definitely not all the time, but sometimes. And so I think Juno was kind of looking for someone to tell him what was right and what was wrong and to give him a guideline. And so if he went into the HCPD and he found someone like Ramses, maybe that's just a pattern in his life where he finds people who he can believe in and then listen to, and they give him a sense of stability, and then they fuck him over for it. I don't know.
Cough, Diamond, cough.
Yeah, I'm oh my God. Ow.
Oh, Diamond.
Just gonna put that out there.
Oh, Diamond. Give me more information.
I don't know if it was one of you who I heard say this or someone else, but somebody said, like, or maybe it was even the Earnmark post or whatever, but I think one of you said, like, his relationship with Diamond was, like, unhealthy at best. And that was a very good way of phrasing it.
That sounds like me.
Very good way of phrasing it.
I use that phrase.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. It can't, just from context clues, it can't have been a good time.
No, it can't have been.
Just based on the way that he talks about, I'm jumping through every single episode.
Yes. That's okay.
Just the way that, like, you saw how he reacted to a turbo figurine or whatever, holding it like 40 years later as an adult, not remembering it at all. He just sort of like kind of like crushed it in his hand without realizing and came back to himself like a moment later or whatever. If his reaction to
traumas can be encoded differently, but yeah.
If Rita gets very angry at the sound of his name as like defense of Juno, and it's just like, you cannot say that name to Juno.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You gotta think.
Something fucked. It was fucked. Yeah, I'd bet anything that it was manipulative and shit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've had to be really careful with in relationships, is like I'm very easily manipulated. Like, it feels good to have someone like tell me what they want me to do and be happy with me, you know?
Yeah, because then you have strict pass-fail criteria.
Yeah,
like, yeah, it gives structure. So it's like, it's kind of, it's not good, but it can feel
that. Yeah. I want to quickly talk about Rita as the legend that she is.
She saved the fucking day.
She did. But also, like, at one point, Khan was like, I don't care if you know her, get her out of here. Which was amazing. Like, the secretaries of the HCPD, like, whisper about her in the night. Like, she's a legend. Her presence has never faded. I love her dearly.
Oh my God.
I've never thought about that. And that's why I love these episodes and getting to hear you guys say that kind of thing. Because, my God, you're right.
I love her. She shows up after 15 years. She explodes a microwave and she leaves.
Although I do want to talk really quick about the fact where Rita said she doesn't like to park in front of police stations because she has, quote, associations. Which, again,
Yeah.
Toxic workplace, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fact
this is gonna be like insanely out there, but based on this is so out there, man. Like I can't tell you how many straws I'm grasping at right now. But
I have so many French theories. Tell me.
Is the wedding dress Michaela Buckley art with the sari?
All bit.
Juno's nose is not broken. We know that whatever was happening with the wedding stuff happened before the HCPD stuff. So did he get the scar, like the nose scar, at some point during this whole shindig? Shindig? I don't know.
Yeah.
And someone, I can't remember who, like, wrote a fic where, like, he was interrogated and they, like, broke his nose.
I remember that.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's a question for me of how much they told Michaela. Like, if, like, the artist just assumed. True. But if they did get a message, like, word of God, that was like, nope, wouldn't have the scar, then I definitely think that's a very viable option. Oof.
Without Michaela Buckley, we wouldn't know that Juno has his benzitin tattoo, and that's really important to me.
He has I thought that was Fanon.
No, if you look.
Only one drawing had that, though. I mean, different. I think that, like, some art that she's drawn has not had it. So I think it's one of those things where it's, like, both canon and not, depending on your personal preferences. So, like, it is canon.
Coat, which you had a note about.
The what?
Kind
of like the coat, which Sarah had a note about.
God damn it.
I'll repeat that for the stream.
Our
which is the fact that, so since at the end of Midnight Fox, Juno, Peter just says, "Get your coat, get your keys, we're leaving." Well, he could have still had. Could have still had his trench coat. But the thing is, he was wearing the tuxedo.
Yeah.
He was still wearing the tuxedo. No, he could have been wearing his trench coat on top of the tuxedo. It's certainly a look, but he could have.
I don't think so, because at the end of Midnight Fox, he goes, "Well, can I have my coat and my blaster, please?" And Khan's like, "I'll bring it to you tomorrow."
Oh, you're right.
His coat does not come with him on the heli.
He's one of those cartoon characters who just have a closet full of the exact same clothes.
Depression wear. That's just a depression move. But anyway, so the fact is, he starts wearing that tuxedo at Vala's Vicky's party. He goes home, doesn't have the chance to change, goes to the casino resort wearing the tuxedo, goes to his room, changes into a different suit, doesn't have a change of clothes outside of the suit or the tuxedo. So if he decides to change into whatever's cleaner, I mean, I assume you've got to think it would be the suit. When he goes to bed that night, doesn't get a chance to change in the morning. So the rose-colored suit. So then he breaks out. They steal the ruby. Juno's still wearing a suit. Rob a train, still wearing the suit. Gets captured by Miasma, still wearing the suit. Now, again, faces a bomb after, what is it, a week? Weeks of torture? I don't think they gave us this.
Yeah.
Yes, still wearing the rose-colored suit. Possibly very, very bloody at this point. Not to hurt you guys, but just saying. And then goes back to Hyperion, gets his eye removed, still wearing the suit, goes to the hotel room, still wearing the suit, doesn't exactly have anything else to change into, leaves Peter in the middle of the night, still wearing that same rose-colored suit.
Did no one take a shower?
What else are they going to change into? Sure, they took a shower, but was there anything there to change into? No.
Peter could steal something. My God.
I hope so. I hope he did, because I don't know. I'm still gonna like have my own little like fake headcanon that's not real, where he's wearing his coat, because I need them to cuddle with the coat. I just need it. I need it with my life.
Okay, but
listeners, I recently wrote a short fic about like coping mechanisms and the coat and all of that.
We love.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. But then Sarah pointed out that it's A little jost. Little not happening.
He goes back to his apartment, right, wearing the suit. What do you think he does with it then? Because the thing is, he could just hang it up in his closet or whatever and maybe keep it for all of season 2. He could throw it out immediately. We don't know. It could be on the spaceship. It could be on the spaceship.
I hope he threw it away.
3.
I hope he burned it. My God.
I know. Why would you want to keep it? I mean, you could make an argument that Juno likes to remind himself of his own pain just to torture himself, but maybe he would want
it would be smelly.
Also be smelly. Maybe he, like, at some point in the desert took off the top part and just had the dress shirt, and it was really cool.
Yeah, that's possible. But also imagine him just fighting the bomb or whatever, just while wearing this nice dress shirt, nice bright red pair of pants or whatever. However we assume the suit looks based on whoever's art.
That is pretty cool.
Wait, no, he changed for bed in the middle of
Is Juno in his pajamas the whole time?
No, they didn't. He said Peter got ready for bed, and Juno was like, "What are you doing?" You know, and so Juno, we hear no such things about Juno. Juno, I think, was just unwilling to be vulnerable at all or do anything at all within the realm of
Nerea
being.
No, I agree. He could have slept in his clothes. I agree with you. Juno would do that.
Juno is like refuses.
Juno is the type who just doesn't do pajamas.
Yeah.
You know, like the kind of person who just like takes off their jeans and is like, "Yep."
That's good enough.
I hate that.
Juno is just wearing a t-shirt and just boxers or whatever, walking around his apartment.
Just whatever shirt he had on for the day.
Yes.
Like that's I hate it. I hate it. Thanks.
He keeps the trench coat on.
God damn it.
Please. Wearing the trench coat.
I hate this so much.
Can we talk?
Go ahead, Rab.
No, you go.
Okay. Can we talk about Captain Khan and the idea of a good cop?
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, what is his place in the story?
I think he complicates it because I think it would be very easy to say, well, the HCPD is full of corrupt cops and they don't do any good in the world and no one is trying to this is just a completely corrupt institution. And then you have this kind of one good cop who's really is trying his best. I mean, he's kind of a dick about it, but whatever. He's also, I think, probably the most dadly character we have in the Juno.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of stories, that would mean more, but I think Juno does not have any daddy issues.
Yeah, he doesn't have a dad.
He is a purely mommy issue kind of person, which I respect.
That's fair.
I am also okay. No, but I will say that with Khan, the one line that really kind of hurt was it was that jump ahead to Stolen City where we meet him again. Was that one line where Khan and Lieutenant Liu were there being like, yeah, we're the resistance, we're the good cops, we make sure that the bad cops don't hurt anyone. And Juno says in kind of the softest, confused voice, he's like, but there are only 2 of you. And then they're like, well, of course there's only 2 of us, so what? We'll still fight. And you kind of got this sense of Juno realizing what he'd left behind, and the fact that he's this sense of quiet respect of okay, I'm fighting my battles as a PI, but I super respect you guys for still fighting at the HCPD and keeping that from sinking further down. Because could you imagine what that place would be without Khan?
Oh, he's a captain. That's pretty amazing.
He is.
He has to threaten the cops not to police
beat the shit out of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cops suck.
Yeah. So it's good that they're painting it as an exception to the rule, because in a lot of cases it's framed as oh, there are just a few bad apples. And once you get no, it is a systemic issue. Just having 2 people against it won't solve it, but it is a noble thing to try. So
yeah. And I think it's also valid that Juno not doing that anymore is a narrative. Okay, no one is like, well, why did you stop trying? Like, you can abandon institutions that are harmful, and some institutions you can't change from the inside.
And it's one of those things where it kind of reflected two sides of the same coin when it comes to, like, the two people who become cops are the people who want to protect and the people who want to punish,
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of power there. And sure, Juno, Sasha, Khan, and Lieutenant Liu were all there to use that power for good, and they're like, okay, I want to protect anyone. But a lot of people are just like hurt people hurting people, And it's just like, okay. Sorry.
No,
it's true. It's interesting too because I think the show doesn't like portray them as infallible. I can't say that word, but they make mistakes. Like Khan throughout this episode is kind of like constantly making the wrong choice. Yeah, and so like he's trying to do the right thing, but it's not saying that he's like using this power perfectly. He's still fucking up. And it's like, that's interesting.
Well, I think there's an argument to be made that this power cannot be used perfectly because it's not power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the finger in the dam sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe he can prevent like individual instances of, blatant police abuse happening, but like that's not gonna stem the tide. So I think that I'm really glad that Sophie and Kevin have kind of made the HCPD things look like more and more futile. Like as time goes on, like they've kind of refined what they feel. Like, I don't know. I think the politics of the show really came into better focus, especially in season 2, as we got into like the politics of Hyperion City. But that's like, I don't know, less important. I don't really want to draw that many parallels to real world politics because that sounds depressing.
Oh yeah, it's true. We're in a bad.
If you don't mind, though, I will draw a parallel to Dark Matters and their approach of things because, like you have the police method or whatever on the ground or whatever, who seems to be like this very corrupt institution where like what they stand for on the surface is not what they are underneath.
Mm-hmm.
But with Dark Matters or whatever, they're exactly what it says on the tin. However, that is, it's like one of those questions of, is it more destructive? And the thing is, it's Sasha and Khan are kind of parallels because Khan like got higher up in the organization trying to fix things. So did Sasha, but Sasha, I feel like she's very, I don't think she was always this is for the greater good person. I think that's the person she forged herself into to avoid dealing with loss and pain and just kind of cover up any weaknesses so that you don't get hurt there.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think the idea of like for the greater good is something that's interrogated a lot in the show. If y'all are cool with it, can we go ahead and move to Valis Vicky and the parallels there?
15 years. Can you believe 15 years has come up like 3 times? Oh my god.
Yeah, like what the hell, man? Like,
yeah.
What was happening 15 years ago? All the lesbians got separated.
Sasha went off, and then we got Valis Vicky and then Buddy. God, so interesting.
So many lesbian departures.
I will say that the parallels between I know a lot of people just try and make a lot of parallels between the lesbian couples in this show or whatever, but I think that there were a lot of parallels with Juno and Peter or whatever that I noticed.
Absolutely, yeah. The foreshadowing is so just off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea that like someone, like you can love someone who's done bad things or things you think are bad. That like your love for them can be separate from that. You don't, I don't know. I think that's one of the first times the show like taps into that kind of black and white thinking of like, I am good, Peter is bad. Like you can't like someone who is bad. but the idea that no, like Vicky did love Ingrid, even though Ingrid did bad things, and Ingrid did what, and like Vicky did what she needed to do to like have the life she wanted, but that doesn't mean that she had to like completely regret every moment of the time she spent with Ingrid.
Yeah. I also was thinking, it's just like this, like, I think this foreshadows heavily to what Juno has to deal with later with Peter, like much later, whether intentionally or not. Like the fact that this episode ends with that quote from Glass, or not Glass now, from Nereyev, that's like, I haven't, like, what is it that it's been a while, and then says the exact same thing at the end of Soul of the People, like, again, unintentionally or not, ties it back to this episode, and I think reminds me of the themes of this episode, where a character made a choice that they don't regret, but still, like, and Juno, I think leaving Peter, he needed to do that. I think yeah, and so it's like, yeah, maybe he doesn't regret that because he knew he needed to do it, but also he broke Peter's heart, and that did come back to bite him in the ass. So I totally agree that it is very Peter and Juno-y too, however unintentionally.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of, yes, I totally agree with that it's, I don't know. I think I do like the idea that like sometimes leaving is what you need to do and that doesn't make you a bad person. Like sometimes you, like, yes, what Juno did was objectively shitty, but I don't think he needed to be in a relationship at that time.
No, he wasn't ready.
Yeah,
he could have
Juno, that was
bad.
That was sad.
I will also say that so one thing I noted about that scene that you guys, I don't think, touched on too much, or maybe you were cutting out too much for me to hear, but with all the talk about second chances and having the trust of other people, and because Ingrid's had this big speech where she was up on stage being like, you know, I'm so glad I got your second chances, and having people's trust is the most important thing, yada, 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 and I don't want to be trapped in this life that I led. And so Juno hears that, and in that episode, he's convinced that you can't start over, from scratch with nothing, because your past is always going to catch up to you sooner or later, and your mistakes are always going to come, and you're going to have to deal with them. And so cut to Man in Glass, where Juno's mistakes with Peter catch up to them both, and Peter is the one convinced that he's like, oh, I can just ignore this and everything will be fine, where Juno's sort of like the one who's still like, yeah, no, this is caught up to us now. It's gonna get worse if we don't deal with it.
Yeah. Like my favorite thing between these two parallels, like between Juno and Nureyev and Buddy and Vespa, is that both of them, I think, point to the idea that
okay, I'm gonna be real, you both froze.
Oh,
I don't know if either of you can hear me, but you both froze.
We can hear and see you.
I can hear you. Oh, good. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I can now.
Okay,
yay.
Cool.
Okay, but I love that between these two parallels, between Buddy and Vespa and Juno and Nureyev, the idea is like starting over and moving on are two different things. Like they are, the narrative punishes characters who want to have exactly how it was before and to fix the past, and rewards characters who acknowledge the past and their mistakes and want to continue in a better direction.
Yeah,
man,
that sums it up really well.
Pretty rad stuff going on.
Rad.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so
this is a small thing, but I just want to add it in a footnote or whatever. I want to say Juno was like the figurative language and the one-liners this episode absolutely killed it.
True,
and
true.
There were so many lines that I just completely laughed because I'd forgotten them. Like
me too.
Vicky cut through the party like a sledgehammer through butter. Or
so good.
I mean, even just the lady line, the like, yeah, I'm more of a lady. Like that non-binary icon, like I think that was a really intentional nod back to other sci-fi. Like, I'm thinking Firefly, but I think it was done really well to be like, this is something different. This is a queer version of what you're thinking.
Yes.
This
It's
scoundrel
queer, but also they
is no
acknowledge their
gentleman.
trauma and their found family. Because, like, the thing is, I watched the first episode of Firefly or whatever. I was like, okay, found family, cool. And it was like, it's not found family. It's a bunch of people on a spaceship who live together. And I'm like, no,
Wrong.
I'm here.
They were close. They got closer.
Yeah.
I don't know. We were spoiled by podcasts. I'm sure Firefly
Found
was
family
terrible.
It's true. But it's
Yeah.
funny how found family is inherently a queer idea. And
It
so,
is.
and so it works really well here.
Yeah, you know, ballroom culture and all that.
Yes.
Okay. Looking at Rita's a pansexual icon.
God,
Yes.
Okay, my brain immediately back to Juno's past with drugs, but I had to drop that immediately because I'm not getting into that.
Oh man. Why I
it's
got
a rough
feelings. We
time.
know I got feelings. All right. Do we want to go ahead and move towards our FIC corner?
I'm like,
Oh.
let me look for a half second and make sure that I don't have anything else. Oh yes, one last thing. They talk about the ancient artifacts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Samantha Cartwright was beheaded in, like, you know, I think they mentioned that maybe even in A Day That Wouldn't Die. Was that Peter? Because by this point, Peter would be on the case. Peter would be the person who did this.
Oh god.
So, and they
I
talked
hope
about,
not.
they talk about what a brutal death it was too. And furthermore, I don't think we ever really considered, did he kill Anthony DiMaggio? Because, you know, Croesus or whatever, that was like, oh, and it's an accident and it's nobody's fault. And, you know, you can't hold Peter responsible for that. But Anthony DiMaggio was like covered in blood, teleported into his bed, like, and like tortured for weeks. You remember that, right? Like, he was tortured for like what, days or weeks?
Oh God.
I mean, yes. I will be totally honest. Samantha Cartwright, like Lillian Strauss, Anthony DiMaggio, that whole plot line that doesn't happen kind of like, you know, quote unquote on screen, I do not.
Confuses me so much. Yeah.
Nothing. I have nothing for you. It's like me trying to like connect strings in the Magnus archives. I'm like, we've met this one before? What? Yeah, so I think it's implied that Christopher Morales, the whole Christopher Morales thing confuses me. I'm not sure how clear it is.
Somebody pointed out to me later. Somebody had to tell me later that that was Peter, and I was like, oh? Thief of Hearts was the only thing that really...
Yeah. Oh, Thief of Hearts. The live stream was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yes, I almost cried at several points. Some of the lines were like very ridiculous, but somehow Joshua and Noah read them in a way that like brought them to life fully, and you're like, oh, that's what that's meant to sound like, you know? And it's right, it works.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Peter's like... I am still so torn. I have my fanon version of Peter, like a Folo Peter, if you will. And Folo Peter would not...
like a faux Peter, Folo.
Oh, that's correct. Yes.
Like, you didn't even realize the pun.
Yeah, like Folo Peter would not like make people suffer as they died. But I don't know. This is the guy who was like, oh, 2 security guards, let's run them over. Like
it was you remember that scene with Engstrom or whatever, where he's like, Juno, turn away now. I'm going to
stab Engstrom to death now. So it's like I don't know where his boundaries are. Like, does he go day by day? Like some days he cares more about like where do his morals begin? I don't know.
And because they haven't really explored that, how does Juno deal with that? Because we know, again, Juno was like an incredibly moral person who fought against like every single time I think Peter has like been about to kill someone, Juno's objected to it in some way or other or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you specifically remember on this job, he came onto it with the you know condition that I will not kill anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I refuse to kill. And like, just think about that. just the death count of like the members of the crew or whatever. Just, conservatively.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Juno,
not good.
Jet has killed like what was it, 22 people? Was that the number?
Yeah, it was like 15 plus however many others over the years. I've
Yeah.
forgotten the exact number.
Peter, I think he has certainly killed more than that just based on what we know about him. He's certainly gotten to, because, like, let's think about this. He killed, like, what, a couple guards, maybe? He definitely had no problem with killing Miasma's guards.
Yeah.
He killed he killed a lot of people on Brahma, and then, during that whole shenanigan, and he killed Mag. So, just in, like, the little bit we've seen of him, he just is very prone to murder, and I feel like that's something.
Yeah.
Like, he sees that as a legitimate option out of whatever situation he's in, without considering, I think, much about the lives of the people that he'd be impacting by doing that. Again, Juno was like, those are security guards, they have families. Do you think maybe that is something about him never staying in one place long enough that he, like, doesn't really have, like, a good grasp on consequences for that sort of thing?
I think it has a lot to do with his compartmentalization, like we saw in Man in Glass.
That I hadn't thought of that at all, though. It makes me really uncomfortable to think about, which is probably good. But yeah, if he is able to selectively turn off his moral core, as Buddy suggests, with those, pro bono versus no bono, or bono, con bono, I don't remember. Then he could
Buddy.
potentially just be like, yeah, so that's fucked. That's fucked. Goddamn.
It is. All right, y'all. I think we are running low on time, so let's do a quick
FIC corner.
So
first, who wants to go first?
Rab
No!
released a fic that I'm gonna die because it was so good, and it's called Red, and it's kind of like it's set after the next Junoverse episode. Like, I don't know. Assuming they've all escaped from Dark Matters in a different ship, and it's great, and it has Peter hiding in, not in the vents, but something like in the vents, like a Avengers fanfic.
I'm always channeling that.
Aren't we all? Like, collectively decided Hawkeye hung out in vents, and we never looked back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's be honest here, whatever. Aren't we all just projecting onto the Penumbra what we wanted the Avengers to be?
Yes, I'm doing it for Voltron. I'm projecting the Avengers and Voltron if they had an actual found family element. And we're good.
See, the thing is, we were all ruined by the found family in Avatar: The Last Airbender, because nothing could come close to it, and that's
except the Penumbra.
Like,
we're
this
finally there. It's only taken
it is really
10 years.
scratching like a 10. Yeah, like there's an itch there that was totally like. Yeah.
Amen.
Like, Buddy and Katara, like, there are some parallels. I love them.
Ooh, and the mom friend.
End of list.
Yeah. Now I'm intrigued.
Yes, but go read Red, because it's great. And it's got some good coping and good feelings, and it's written by Rab, and Rab is really good at what she does.
You're the best. Thank you.
If you like hurt comfort and you like trauma, then I highly recommend it.
Yeah. We know what I'm about, listeners.
I'm a mother now. But well, if you recommend that, I have to recommend let's see. I thought it was subject object, or is it object?
Yes,
I love that one. Sorry, I'm not gonna.
Yes. No, that's subject object by Lunilu, which we mentioned briefly in this conversation because it mentioned the coat. But it is really beautifully honest and raw, and I loved reading it. So there's that.
Aw.
Absolutely check out.
Thank you.
Also, I love
We're
it. And
coping in this Chili's tonight.
God damn it, yes. I'm also going to recommend Peter Enchanted by Memory, which is Hold Your Breath.
I was going to recommend that if you didn't. I was going to recommend it if you didn't. But it's so good.
It's incredible. I was like, huh, an Ella Enchanted AU, all right. And then, oh my God, I don't often find fics where I can visualize in movie form, like soundtrack and all, what's going on. But there's this moment towards the end. I won't spoil what happens, but you're going back and forth. Yeah, very quickly. I think you guys know already what I'm talking about. Very quickly between past and present. And it is just, oh my God, so there. So there's that. Absolutely recommend. And Don't Worry You Will is my last recommendation by Scarlet Fish, which is, I was nervous about the idea of people writing quarantine fics because people are dying, but at the same time, we're all going through this in one way or another. And so it makes sense that people would want to write about this. And I was like, oh no, this could be really bad. And it was fantastic.
It was really good.
I am so hooked. The humor in it had me stifling laughter at 2:00 in the morning.
Craig and his list.
Yeah, his list, there's one moment where his phone wakes him up and the note on it is sour cream in all caps. And he's like, what the fuck is this? Just the whole fic is, wow, wonderful, very in character. I could hear the characters talking. Just very much recommend. Sorry, that's the end of mine. That was long.
All right, Sarah.
Okay, this is gonna make me seem like having. It just occurred to me that I have a recommendation. It's what was it called? You found the name of it. It's Be Our Guest by who?
Be Our Guest by, let me check my history. Be Our Guest by the Homestuck Whovian.
Homestuck Whovian, yes. It was very good. I was like, okay, Beauty and the Beast AU, all right. What really got me into it, though, was I saw some art of it on Tumblr, so I got into it. And then it's got, monster hunters, Cecil and Cass, who are sort of mildly they're somewhat exactly what they are in. They're exactly what they are in canon, not what people fanon of them, you know? They're exactly as bad as they are in canon.
Oh dear.
And this makes me sound okay, so the thing is, I have written my own fantasy AU, which is yada yada yada,
which
but
we will
the
link
thing
below.
God, are we really? Okay,
yes.
Fine.
You're on here. You're getting linked.
If you mention a fic, you get.
I only brought it up because I was going to say that the thing is, with me recommending this fantasy AU and me also planning to mention what was it? Peter Enchanted? Is that what it's called? I don't know names. Yes, Peter Enchanted. It really does sound like I'm very here for fantasy AUs, and I'm not, I swear. It's just coincidence that I really liked all three of those, and those are the three things that, okay.
Look, man, a good AU is a good AU.
Yeah, it's amazing. Transcends genre. It's just it's that special.
That's true. It's true.
All right.
All right. I've lost you guys.
Oh.
Wi-Fi is.
Oh dear. It's probably me. We're out by the highway. We tried to make it faster. I don't know if it worked, but all right, you guys got me.
I mean, I'm in New York where everyone is using a lot of Wi-Fi all the time.
Yeah, that's true. But you guys got any last notes?
Nah, man, I think I'm good.
All right.
Everyone stay safe. That's my note.
Yeah, amen. Stay as safe as you can, as comfortable as you can during this terrifying time. Hang in there.
Yeah, reach out if you need people. You're allowed to need people.
Amen. And thank you for being on here, Sarah.
Yes, captain-aurinko on Tumblr.
Thank you guys for letting me come.
Oh my God, of course. If any of you, dear listeners, would like to join us sometime, let us know. But until then, fare thee well.
All right. Godspeed, travelers.
Bye.
Bye.